722, 47 degrees right now. Jake Hansler, Kelly Jackson, and we are joined by your colleague, Kelly Jackson.
And one of my favorite people in the world.
And I had the pleasure of working with
so sweet.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working with Jacob on a story a week or so ago in Country Club Hills.
Okay.
So, but Jacob is a reporter, anchor at KSDK News Channel 5. And Jacob, you were with everyone as they kind of went from Fabic, but more importantly at the cemetery yesterday in University City.
Right, I was. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
We obviously knew that Vice President Mike Pence was going to be down in the Fenton area at the Caterpillar company. And then we knew that Governor Eric Greitens had a scheduled stop at the cemetery in University City, but for about 24 hours it had been kind of rumored that Pence was going to come with him to the cemetery. And then once I got on scene yesterday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, you could start to see the momentum and the looks on the cemetery officials' faces build with anticipation. Phones started going off, more police started showing up, and you just kind of get that feel that something bigger is about to happen. And when things started to change very rapidly, confirmation was pretty obvious that Mike Pence was going to show up. And then sure enough, once they started shutting down Olive and Hanley and Secret Service rolled in, we had obviously visual confirmation that he was there. And he rolled up his sleeves right along, the public and Mr. Greitens, and he was raking leaves and he was picking up trash. And so he was very much a part of yesterday's event.
Let me ask you, it was hard to tell from the photographs that I saw, but do they kind of, in a situation like that, put the president and the governor kind of off to the side where they're almost on a stage raking leaves, or were they really kind of in there with the folks that came out in support of the cemetery?
They were among what appeared to be a select few of individuals who probably for security reasons had already been cleared for this. So they were in the damaged area of the cemetery side by side with some people and some people who work at the cemetery. They made their way through the entire crowd, though, going down the line, shaking hands, and Mike Pence was hugging people and taking time to talk briefly one-on-one. When they did their big spiel, they did so from the back of a pickup truck, kind of with a megaphone overlooking everyone.
What was the atmosphere out there? I mean, it looked like such a great day for unity in St. Louis, surrounding a very bad event, but it really looked like St. Louis had come together.
Yeah, I posted on my Instagram last night, in hindsight of this event, just how proud I was. This is one of those banner weeks that I was so proud to be part of the St. Louis community because, yes, something terrible happened, but that wasn't what the emphasis was on yesterday. It really was an opportunity to come together. Unity is the perfect word to describe it. You had people, men, women, children, not just from the Jewish community in St. Louis, but I interviewed a priest from Wentzville, and there were people of the Christian faith out there, just Muslim. All walks of life heeded that call for volunteerism to come out there yesterday and help spruce up the cemetery, do whatever they can to just make the event not about something positive, but to turn it into something of compassion, of love, and strength to show. And I think as the priest put it, they want their actions yesterday to mean something bigger than what those vandals intended to do or tried to accomplish.
Jacob, let's talk about the vandals. I know that they're still deep in the investigation, but do they get any sense of a feeling who they could be and what will happen and why? And I know they have the video, right? But does it show anything? Or
I don't know that they actually have any surveillance video. I talked to the lead detective on the case who came out yesterday to be a part of yesterday's event, and I just said, where do things stand? And he said, I know it's only really been, in hindsight, less than a week. And I know for the public, there's always this like rush to judgment, like we need answers now. And he said, in hindsight, and the fact is that it's a criminal investigation that really hasn't been going on that long, if you think about it. So he's like, we still have a lot of things to go over. We are going over all of the businesses right there on Olive. We're looking at if homes there that back up to the cemetery, anyone has surveillance cameras. They are looking for any clue that will lead them to who did this. But the fact remains is that it sounds like this happened in an overnight hour kind of situation or early morning, where it very much could have been dark. And as we all know, it's been very foggy in the overnight hours here in St. Louis over the last week or so. And you know, I think there is a feeling that, as one of the leaders of the Jewish Federation told me yesterday, I think there is a little bit of concern that this was a perfect get in, get out kind of escape, just because it is a very wooded little cemetery. It's very dark. And so I don't know how confident they are they're going to find this. But I also don't know if they even know who they're looking for yet.
What was the end result yesterday? What did the cemetery look like at the end of the day? Were they able to repair the damage? And is it ongoing? Are they still looking for volunteers?
No, I don't think that they're looking for volunteers anymore. So all of the knocked over headstones, and there were about 170, 175-ish, almost 200, that were knocked over. And all of those have been uprighted, and they're back on their bases. And I don't know if they've been secured to their base just yet. So that work continues. But what the volunteers did yesterday was essentially, you know, if any dirt had been overturned by the vandals or whatever, they were just kind to make it look nice, picking up a lot of leaves and limbs and trash. And I will tell you that not only did they fill up the back of like a big Ford F-150 kind of truck with tons of trash bags. When I left there last night, they had one of those huge, you know, those huge portable dumpsters that you see in people's driveways as they're like moving. They had one of those in the driveway of the cemetery, overflowing with trash bags.
Wow.
And so I'd say there were easily hundreds of people out there, and so that was the end result. You could definitely tell the grounds looked much nicer after their efforts that lasted, I'd say, maybe a couple hours.
That's wonderful. Well, we are speaking with Jacob Long, reporter and anchor for KSDK News Channel 5, who was with the community out at the Jewish Cemetery in University City. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
It was good to talk to you, Jay and Kelly, as always.
Thank you, Jacob.
It is 7:30. Back after